Well, hello. Um, I generally talk about music, but it's a matter of what inspires me when. So, at this point, it's Eddie G's Music World, but I don't have a lot to say about the music for today. But getting old is something we all have to figure out. And wait, I'm just gonna send this thing to Twitter because once in a while people do chime in. So I'll just do this and then get back to the exciting discussion. So where was I? Yes, you know, we start this journey uh, as babies. Nobody told us you have a choice to be in this life, in this world. You just are. Now everybody has that in common because, for the most part, two people make babies, and then there's the cats. They make babies, then they, that's life. From there, you're brought through the first few years of infancy. They take care of you. They feed you. They change you. They teach you. Then the next step, they thrust you into the school system, where, to quote Rush, be cool or be cast out. So from there, they learn to just get along with people, follow orders. You exit the school single file. Everybody's got to go and organize and listen and be indoctrinated and take orders from the teachers, from your parents. So that's the first few years. Then the friends start to collect in different packs. You like these two, three people, we get along, the other ones not as much. And then this is just a pattern of constant flux. And then you get into the high school years, it's even more extreme because you are you're kind of like, not, in some cases you're not really um, getting by with the cool crowd. You're just kind of drifting around, like what happened to me in high school. So from there, you start, maybe some guys have girlfriends and you get to know women and figure yourself out. But then it leads to the next step. You get into the college and university levels. And what does that mean? You're clinging to the last shreds of youth. Like in my case, I stuck around for an extra year or two in CEGEP, an extra year or two in university. Why? Because I knew what was coming, the work. Now, there you have everybody scrambling, trying to get into their situation that they want. In my case, I wanted radio, but I didn't qualify. My marks weren't good enough to get in the communications department. So, of course, I just got a political science degree. And then after that, I worked like hell to get a job in radio. And I got a few little bits and pieces. I got on major stations, but as a guest. And it didn't solidify into something concrete. So what did I do? Graduated university. Then a series of sales jobs, which is a constant regeneration of rejection versus success. You can knock on 100 doors, and a few of them will buy from you, and a few of them wouldn't. My first job was great success because the company was so popular, everybody loved them. So I thought I was a great salesman because they all wanted to buy the product. But I left, and look, my life is not that exciting, so I'll just get to the more important point, you never realize that the time is constantly eroding. So as you pass through these stages, potentially marriage, potentially kids, which for me happened in my early 50s because things went on and found someone late. And, you know, so in this case, you go to the point of getting some money at the end of the rainbow due to inheritance, and then you are raising two kids. And before you know it, you're in your mid 50s. You have 30 years of jobs to look back on and 15 or 20 years of life left. If you're lucky, you don't get any major health problems. And in my case, I have some minor ones and they could turn into major ones, but these are tests that you just go in and out of clinics for like 15, 20, 25 years and do things to see how you're doing. So here I am. All these years have flown by. The music was mostly to escape from, and I thought I would escape listening to the music and then kind of glide into something. But the world is like a lot of like pushback. You can't go into an interview in that business lacking any confidence. You have to think you are really the best thing that ever happened to the industry. I remember going to CFCF Radio, which is no longer around, and this guy David Middleton was the program director. So I made tapes and I had a little experience here and there. I did university and college, and this guy just looked at me like I was like a piece of gum on his foot because I walked in to that office so stressed, so nervous, so fearful. I just, I could carry myself. I talked, but inside I was falling into fear, like terrible fear. So he must have picked up on that, and it didn't matter what was on that tape. There was no moving forward in that situation. So you spin around. I remember I even called to get my tape back, and that was humiliating because it meant that he just I said, "Where's my tape?" So he says, "In the box with the other 100 tapes. Go find it yourself." So look, I went in that box, I found the tape, and kept going on. And there were other occasions where I worked at Shome and volunteer work, and I thought that was the way to get in. And then after 6 months, the volunteer part of the position, non-paid, was over. And then it was like I went to a program director, Rob Braid, and he was telling me go to the outer edges of the country of Canada and little tiny stations. And I guess I was spoiled. I guess I tried to do that, but I wasn't as ready. But that's just a recollection of my path. But in life, how does nature set up the game where like so many people are born with issues, health issues, or they get them early, and then you have to scrape and crawl to the finish line. That's most probably in your 60s or 70s or 80s, most probably. So you have to think in between birth and the end of the road and death. What's the point? Is it to find love and family? Is it to achieve fame and fortune, money? It's a lot of mysteries. And I got two kids that are almost entering that phase of their lives where they gotta go 3 more years of school, another 8, 9, whatever it's gonna be, and then they're gonna be faced. They're gonna be faced with these challenges. So I'm guessing life has something about it that is worth living. But by cutting it off for every single person born, animal, plants, whatever, it's just if you're a mouse, you don't know that you're going to die. So you kind of just go through life mating, eating, and you never get sad that you're going to die one day because your brain is not developed enough. So you just go through, just get through. And if you die at 2 years old, no one's going to really care. But people, the whole industry of funerals and hospitals are all built around either keeping you alive and then when it's over, just dumping you in the ground. Sad, sad, sad. But I wish I could be more inspirational. I could talk a little about music. I see no one's listening, but it's okay. This has been this is the reason I don't do many of these videos, is not too many people really care. Almost nobody. Music-wise, I've noticed this. Taylor Swift seems to be less talked about. I wouldn't say less popular because she could lie low for another 6 months, put out an album, and it'll still race up the charts, and every song will be a hit. But it's at some point, people, they just get tired of someone. They have to. It's just they stop getting hits in their 50s and 40s and 60s or whatever. I mean, there's many cases. So I would say before 2028, she'll be, I don't know. I think all the 18-year-olds will be in their late 20s and not really care that much about her. Just my guess. But we shall see. And there's other things going on music-wise. I mean, I am going to a couple of good concerts, I hope, both with 80-plus-year-old stars. BTO starring Randy Bachman, I think he's 81. And then I'm going alone to see a concert of someone I always put off seeing. I never wanted to go see him. I wanted to, but I always found the reason not to go. People didn't want to go with me, and then whatever had happened. Now, because nobody wants to go with me, I'm going to go see Barry Manilow myself. And look, I think he's around 82. So, I mean, this is obviously the last tour he's going to do. So I hope it goes well. And then that's it for shows for 2025 so far. There are other bands like Bush that I like, but when they play in Laval, Quebec, it's a pain in the ass to get down there. I got to drive, find parking, and then take metros late. If I park near a metro, I got to go back in the metro, and I get home at midnight. It's a big ordeal, and I don't like going out that much. So it's not something that is common anymore. I don't really see a lot of shows. But anyway, it's been a few months since I've done one of these videos. Sorry if it's a bit sad. Maybe one day someone will hear it. I hope. Eddie G's Music World. Signing off. April 16th, 2020.